Welcome to Sabre Sports. I'm Simone Steffen, here with Jeremiah Williams, Keith Norris Jr., and Jonathan Ward at the desk. The Cleveland Cavaliers have the best record in the NBA. They could potentially win 70 games this season, something only 2 other teams in NBA history have done. So, can the Cavaliers take down their defending champions, the Boston Celtics? What do you guys think?
Well, yeah, I'll start this off, Simone, by saying that I think the Cleveland Cavaliers are a very talented team. I think they're one of the most talented teams in the NBA. You can look at the season, look at their record, it shows. I think they're honestly one of the most effective and efficient teams in the NBA as well. They actually statistically lead the league in effective field goal percentage and true shooting percentage. Now, with that said, I love Darius Garland. I think he's a fantastic playmaker. Donovan Mitchell, one of the best scorers in the league. But you have to ask yourself one question. I think this question you got to ask yourself is, who would you rather have on your playoff team, Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell, or Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum? And I know there's going to be more factors that go into who wins this game. I know there's going to be more factors, especially from a defensive standpoint. But I think the production of these 4 guys, both of these guys are, or all of these guys 4, are top 2 in their teams in scoring. So I think the production that you see from them is really what's going to come down to decide this game. And the reality of it is that Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, they've been in playoff situations. They've made multiple late playoff runs. They've been to the NBA Finals, have lost. For peak's sake, they're the NBA defending champions. So with that said, I just like the experience that Boston has. I think there's going to be adversity that comes for both teams, especially Cleveland. But I think Boston has dealt with that adversity before. I think they're going to deal with it a little bit better. It's not going to be too new. Like I said, the Cavaliers are a very young team. I like them, but they're young. They have a lot of good guys. But I think the Celtics are just a little bit more seasoned, a little bit more experience, and that's why I got to take Boston in this argument.
Yeah, I got to agree with you, Ward. You know, like you said, you hit it on the head perfectly. Experience, right? You know, when we talk about playoffs, we talk about, you know, getting it done. Experience matters, and the Boston Celtics have been there before. And I want to mention something. You guys have the Celtics have a 2-headed monster in Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. I got to ask the question: who can stop? Who can the Cavs put on them to stop them? And that's nobody. Mm-hmm. When you look at the Celtics, you have 6 guys who can get at least 20 points per game. That's scary. They like to post up. The Cavaliers don't have bigger guards, so obviously that's a mismatch problem. Mm. The Celtics would obviously dominate the Cavaliers. There's no chance. This would be a
domination.
They would dominate.
No.
Because no experience. Okay. They're smaller guards, and they have nobody to guard Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Simple as that.
Now I'm gonna say this. I know Porzingis is out,
right.
So that's a
and
big factor.
I didn't even mention that.
Factor.
I didn't mention that. Okay.
You're right.
Yep.
Now I'm gonna say this. I'm going with Cleveland, and the reason why I'm going with them, one, they the number 1 seed, the hottest team, 15-0, best team on the road. These guys get it done.
Okay.
They already 7 games ahead of the Celtics as well. So I believe this team is hungry this season. I get the experience part. I get the pass. But this season, the Cavs are a team to be feared. They have guys. They got guys on the bench. Boston, yes, have playmakers. They have experience. Man, they have finals MVP talent over there. And I love what you guys are saying, but Cleveland this season, like you said, the stats show this is a hot team. So I'm going with them.
You mentioned that, and I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Regular season, okay, cool. But I've always been a guy, okay, what you do in the regular season is cool, but let's see if you can really do it under pressure. That's the thing. So Cleveland can get hot right now, cool, but when it's time to, play in the Eastern Conference Finals, possibly against the Celtics, are you going to get tight?
Which I believe they will be
get
there.
Tight.
And I'm going to say that, no.
Get tight?
I believe they will see them in a championship.
And you believe that?
You believe already broke even this season.
That's in the regular season.
I'm going to say this. Basketball in April, yes, it's a different. It's a different game. And mind you, they can win on the road already. I'm telling you now. They have
Boston can too.
They can.
Boston can too.
But guess what? They don't want to see. They're going to get the home field advantage. I'm telling you now. They're going to beat Boston on the road, and it's going to change it up. I'm telling you now.
See, and this is where I'm going to cook you again.
Right?
So I want you to think about something, right? Mm-hmm. Answer, yes or no? Just answer the question. Is Donovan Mitchell number 1 option?
Yes.
Okay, right? Is Donovan Mitchell number 1 option?
Yeah, definitely for Cleveland.
You don't think?
He's not. I'm going to tell you why. You can't. He's not a number 1 option on a championship team, right? So I'm going to give y'all some history.
Whoa, you would just move the goalpost.
No,
you said number 1 option. Now it's championship team.
Number 1 option on a championship team.
Yes, he will be. He's the number 1 option on his team.
They're
they
not
win
a
the
championship. They're
Okay.
not a championship team. The only two guards, smaller guards, that's been a number one option that's won a championship is who? Stephen Curry and Isaiah Thomas. Those are the only two guards. History. 25 years separation.
Whoa.
AI did not
We're not
win.
saying
AI didn't
All right,
win.
what about Dwayne Wade? He's a smaller guard for his size.
No, he's
yes, he
not.
Is. Yes, he is.
He's 6'4".
Yes, he is. He's a smaller guard.
6'4".
He's a smaller guard. Hey,
He's 6'4".
cook him.
He's 6'4".
He's a smaller guard.
And who did he have? He had Shaq. Exactly.
He was the number one option.
He was 6'4".
Who was the number one option?
He was 6'4".
Nope.
He's 6'4".
Yes
That's
or no?
not.
Who was the number one option? Was he? Yes or
Dwayne
no?
Wade. But he's 6'4". Exactly. He's 6'4".
Okay.
So that's what I think. You can't give Donovan Mitchell the keys to take over versus Boston when he cannot guard a Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown.
Yeah, I think that's what we talked about a little earlier. That small guard matchup with Donovan Mitchell is going to be something that Cleveland's definitely going to have to take into account. I think they're definitely going to have to get the production from him. Jason Tatum, that's going to be a great matchup. But like I said, the reality is I think that Jaylen Brown, I trust him more in the situation. He's hungry. I think he wanted the MVP. Like, of course, I think Jaylen Brown deserved it last year, but he's hungry. I think he wants to get back and wants to repeat in Boston and not only take the MVP. So that's why I just like him a little bit more in that matchup maybe, but I don't know what kind of see how it goes.
And it's funny because you didn't even
I'ma
mention.
say this, though.
Wait a minute.
Any team want to repeat. Mahomes wanted to repeat this year. Somebody
No,
knew.
but you gotta realize though. You gotta
and they're gonna
realize.
show competition.
You gotta realize. Y'all have to realize, right? Okay, Jaylen Brown got the MVP, Finals MVP. Congrats, but he didn't get to the Olympics, right? So that's already weighing on him. That's motivation.
Okay.
Jason Tatum, people are questioning his greatness, and then he didn't even play in the Olympics. That's motivation again. Those two guys are monsters, and they're ready to fight again. There's a new edge for Boston because you basically disrespecting my two guys, my best guys. Al Horford's back. Granted, he's older, but he can still produce. A Drew Holiday, who's able to defend post up a smaller guard. That's the problem.
I don't think there's no pressure on them though.
There's a lot of pressure.
It's
on
not.
him.
I don't think they're looking at it from that way.
There is pressure
The
on
most people get on them, the most scrutiny they have is because of their corny behavior, but they don't have no. They the defending champions. There's no pressure.
There's
You got to
pressure.
see us.
There's pressure.
It's not. No, nobody. We just won. What do we have to prove? We just won. We trying to do it again. We trying to do it again, and we are in pace. And I'm not speaking in vouch to. I'm just the conversation.
And most likely they'll get back to the Eastern Conference Finals and to the finals. I think because the only team that could possibly give them a run, I believe, is the Milwaukee Bucks, and it's because of Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Okay.
A bigger guy. They're one option. You see how that works? Okay.
And mind you, what is believed to be the second best power forward behind him, Evan Mobley, they have. He can play up to. I'm not saying he's going to match up.
Evan
I'm
Mobley?
saying he can play. Yes, he can. Yes, he can.
Evan Mobley?
Yes, Evan Mobley.
You can't. No, you,
Come on,
you can't.
man. Their whole
Evan
entire
Mobley is
starting
young.
five, please.
He's great, but he's like we haven't seen him in the playoffs, so we can't say, oh, he's about to dominate.
I'm not
Because
saying he is.
and we know this. Joe Mazzulla is a great coach. He creates different matchups. He can create different matchup problems in this series. They could shut him down. And what do you believe in Garland and Mitchell to get you over Jason the Celtics? Really? That's what you're saying? You can't even
It's
answer the
happened
question.
before. It's happened before. Yes.
In the regular season?
I'm not saying in regular season. I'm saying in history. At a point in time, it will happen again. Like you don't think it's possible? It's not.
It's possible.
They didn't beat them 4-0, so it's not a definite clear. Boston is scary.
It's not there. It's not. It's
This
possible.
is and every game they done played in, it has been between margin of 5, 8 points. This is a close matchup.
That's in the regular season. There's a
Okay.
difference.
So they
When
just
you're
don't,
able to-
they just don't care, I guess.
They care, but when you're in the regular season,
So
you're not
I
focused
guess
on
when
different
Boston was
matchups.
just at home, they didn't have no pride to defend their home field advantage.
I cannot wait. I would love to see this series because
That's all
I
I'm
guarantee you
asking.
it'll probably only be Lakers. I mean, not Lakers. Excuse me. Celtics and 5. What did Shannon Sharp say? Celtics and 5.
Doubt
So-
it. We gonna see.
It's easy. Like there's nothing you can say about the Celtics versus the Cavaliers right now. So that's all I got to say.
I think when you really look at it too, you also have to look at going into a little bit of that back end of the regular season. If you're Cleveland, you still got a 2-game series against the Knicks. You still got a 2-game series against the Pacers, both who they are 1-2 currently right now. And then you still got a 2-game series against Detroit where you got to go to Detroit, and they lost to Detroit last time you're there. The toughest team that the Celtics are going to see the rest of the season are probably either the Kings or the Heat. You get a little bit of a run going, especially. I think they make a push for that 1 seed even going into the playoffs. And then now you got a little bit of a run going. I really think Boston can make it far this year.
Okay. Well, When we come back, we'll be discussing one of the biggest signings during the NFL free agency.
Oh.
After being released from the New York Jets, wide receiver Davante Adams signed a 2-year, $46 million deal with the Los Angeles Rams. Did the Rams overpay for an aging Adams? What do you think?
All right, Simone, I got to start this segment off by asking everybody here, everybody watching, to do one thing for me. I want everybody to take a deep breath. I say that to say, I think people are kind of overreacting. I know there was a little bit of speculation. There were some things around Davante Adams. Was he really producing this year? And the reality of it is that he was with two of the worst organizations in the NFL this year, with the Raiders and the Jets. I think you have to look at it and say, I think a lot of people are questioning, can Davante Adams still go out and produce? Is he still worth the $20 to $25 million contract range? Look at the stats. I think this is a guy who still put up 1,000 receiving yards last year, despite, like I said, being on two of the worst organizations in the NFL last year. He's 11th highest paid receiver. He's 18th in receiving yards and 13th in receiving touchdowns. So it's not like there's a little bit of discrepancy like between that. And the thing is, this isn't any other receiver. This is a 6-time Pro Bowler. He's played in at least 13 games every year of his career. So he produces. He can go out there. It's not so much of an issue about can he stay healthy. And he's had 1,000-yard receiving seasons the last 5 seasons in a row. So I think for anybody kind of wondering if Davante Adams can still go out there and produce, I think he still can. He was in a tough situation the last couple of years in Green Bay. We know how that was with Aaron Rodgers, then coming to the Jets. You know how that was, or even before that when he was in Vegas. These are dumpster fire organizations that I think put him into tough situations. And because of that, I think that he's going to the Rams right now. He's going to be paired up with Puka. We're going to get to see a little bit of that two-head monster more that I think we didn't really get to see with Cooper Kupp in full fruition. I think also you got Sean McVay. He can have a good offense, young offense, go out there. I can't wait to see what he does with the Rams. And I think the Rams looked at it as, hey, what do we need to get Davante Adams here? And they gave him the money that they needed to. And because of that, I don't think Davante Adams is overpaid at all.
Definitely. That's an amazing point. You preach the gospel once again. We agree again. But so when I look at this contract, obviously 2 years, right? 2 years isn't a lot. You know, it's just enough. Let's see what you can do. Obviously, Davante Adams is 32, so he's on the back end of his career, but he's not older just yet. You feel me? So I think he wasn't overpaid. You know, we talk about all these amazing wide receivers, and we got to mention Davante Adams because of what? His route running. I remember there was a video of him a couple years ago, route running in the summer, and, you know, obviously Chad Ochocinco, Chad Johnson was literally crying because how beautiful he was running routes. He's essentially art, you know. So I think this is an amazing pickup for them because you have a quarterback in Matthew Stafford. And Matthew Stafford, I think when it's all said and done, will be a Hall of Famer. Not first ballot, but he'll be eventually a Hall of Famer because one thing he does well, he can sling the rock. He can throw the ball down the field. He can do some of the things Aaron Rodgers can do in his prime. You know, he's able to do those reverse passes, those sling passes off the ground on the wrong foot. But you have that as your guy, you know, throwing you the ball. You possibly can do some damage, especially with the Rams. Like you said, you have Sean McVay. Sean McVay is not given enough credit for his offensive schemes, his offensive creativity. Now, when you have a guy like Davante Adams, now you can play from the outside in. Before it was the inside out because you didn't have that guy that can really, you know, tear the defense apart. Now, Cooper Kupp could, but it wasn't like Davante Adams could. So, with that, you're able to put Davante Adams in different areas on the field, like, you know, slot or outside. So, this is an amazing pickup. He's not overpaid at all.
At all. I don't even think, you know, fans and critics are even worrying about that. I believe they want to know what are the Rams going to do with him now.
Right.
He absolutely, mind you, it's only 16 receivers getting more money than him. Names Tariq Hill, A.J. Brown, Justin Jefferson, C.D. Lamb. So, you know, he's in his category. 20 to 25 million was absolutely what they should have guaranteed and gave him. And for the 2 years, like you said, he's 32.
Right.
So, you know, he has enough he still has a lot of juice left. In his last 5 games, and this is just with the Jets, he averaged in the last 5 games, he had 510 yards. That's 100 yards a game. 36 catches, that's 7 catches a game, and he had 5 touchdowns. He scored every time in his last 5 games. Even with the circumstances and the situations he went through, he still balled. When he was in Vegas, he balled. This is a certified baller. And to get him now with 2 years before he turns 35, so, they have a lot to still win, still establish with him. This was a great move. Absolutely.
It's an amazing move
It is.
because it's not a cry for help, but it's like it's essentially, okay, we believe in you still. We believe you can be a great addition. We don't need you to do too much, but we just need you to do enough,
Yeah.
We're not asking you to, go for 3,000 yards, We're not expecting you to get, we're not expecting you to do everything.
And a mentorship.
Exactly.
Puka, come on now.
He's
This
a
is
leader.
amazing.
He has
Yeah.
experience. He's played with, solid guys in his career. So what they want him to do, obviously his presence, his route running, which will be amazing.
Yup.
He's just overall a good guy to have in your locker room because he can still produce. He's consistent. He's professional. Nothing more you can ask
And like
for.
you said, with the addition of, he still has Stafford at quarterback. Stafford has played with number one guys, Calvin Johnson. He has played with big,
He knows how to get
he
the ball
knows
to
how
you.
to get the ball.
Right.
Definitely.
Right.
Easier word said, So this is great, especially for Puka to learn, Adams to still play, and especially the way the Rams season ended. They had a chance to beat the Eagles, and, it came down to the wire, and they could have went where the Eagles went to. Not saying they would have won, but, they want to build off of that, and I love the move they made.
Definitely, yeah. I think the veteran aspect of it is something that a lot of people don't look at that he's going to bring as well, especially from that receiving room.
Right.
I think you start to get even more younger guys that can be under him. You also get a young rising guy like Puka Nacua. Like I said, I can't really wait to see what the Rams did this year. Like I said, they had a really good season this year. Couldn't get it done in some certain opportunities. I think Davante Adams might be that answer to get them a little bit further in the playoffs. But
It's going to be interesting to see because now that you have, this pickup, right, how do they compete against the Eagles or the Commanders?
definitely, yeah. I think from an offensive standpoint, I think the Eagles definitely were the most efficient offense in the league last year. I think they did a really great job. They did what they needed to do. I honestly think Saquon Barkley and their run game, nobody really was kind of able to have an answer for it as far as that. But I think you can start to move the Rams maybe into that top 5 conversation. I don't know if it's crazy to kind of say that.
No,
NFC?
it's
An
not
offense-
crazy because
offense
guess
from offense
what?
standpoint,
Their
yeah, from offense
defense,
standpoint.
their defense at some points of the season were top 5
Yeah.
and top 10, right? Let's talk about it. Their offense, man, they took the Eagles there. That was a close game, 28-22, I believe that game was. This was a close game, and it came down to a sack, where Matthew Stafford possession was over. But that was a close game. So I do believe with the defense they have, the receiving core they have, the offense, the receivers, the quarterback, and then Sean McVay. Come on now, this is scary.
And he's known to, create different schemes. Like now that you have a 1A guy, possibly a 1B, like you can create things that we've never seen before, which can give defenses in the NFC and all around the league a problem.
Definitely.
So I definitely think, obviously they won't be like the top dog in the NFC, but I feel like they can be top 3.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely
Easily.
think they can move into that.
Because it would go Eagles, Commanders, then the Rams, then the Lions. I feel like based off the pickups from free agency.
Yeah. So I want to ask y'all, do you think he can kind of create that magic or can Matthew Stafford kind of create that magic that he had in Detroit with Megatron? Like I said, they didn't really ever get to go anywhere with it because of the Lions organization at the time. But do you think he can kind of recreate a little bit of that? Do you think they're a little bit too old? Like how
He
how
can
does-
recreate a little bit, but don't expect Davante to be running routes like he was in Green Bay.
I agree. Yeah.
Not running routes, but doing what he was doing in Green Bay.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Because
And what circumstances? Why do you think not to expect that?
because they are a little older now,
Okay.
so their legs are a
Okay.
little tighter and a little, got some weight to it now.
Yeah.
So, and that just comes from playing. We're all athletes here, so we know what the body goes through, right? So I'm not saying you got to expect him to put up all these big numbers, but expect him to be consistent and level-headed. So nothing crazy.
At the least expectation, Matthew Stafford should have at least 2,000-yard receivers. At least. I believe so. Like,
Yeah.
you shouldn't even side. Like, that's easy.
No, for sure.
2,000-yard receivers are easy.
They'll
They should get
definitely be throwing the ball a lot
Yeah.
more. Especially when you have a wide receiver like that, and then you obviously have a quarterback that loves to throw the ball. Most of the time, you're going to be throwing the ball. So I think they're going to be a pass-first offense this year. Now, is that predictable? Yes and no, because you can create different schemes to make it look like, oh, this is different. So
No, definitely. I think that was kind of going with the Buccaneers. I think that's what they did a little bit. Like Baker Mayfield threw the ball well, got the ball through the air well, fantastic. But I think there were points in the season, especially even in the playoffs, where their passing game because they were so kind of a little bit one-dimensional at times, it hurt them. So I think if you're the Rams, you got to be cautious of that. Still having that run game established, still doing it, but being able to get Davante Adams the ball, it's definitely, because that's the thing that he's going to want to go. When he is in there day one in Los Angeles, he's going to expect the ball.
It'd be interesting to see.
Well, we're taking another quick break, but we'll get to some more NBA talk when we return. The Oklahoma City Thunder are locked in as the #1 seed in the Western Conference. They are led by SGA, who is an MVP frontrunner. Are the Thunder really as good as their records claim?
So I'll say this.
Oh, Lord.
They are a great team. As their record claim, yes, they are a hot team, the youngest team, the hottest team. They #1 in almost every statistical stat, nearly offense and defense. So yes, to answer the posed question, they are hot. I don't see them as a clear runner. I don't see them as a clear winner of the West at all. When I think of a clear winner, I think of a Golden State Warriors when they was in their dynasty. You knew out the West they were going to win. I don't think OKC even has the experience or the manpower, truthfully, to help SGA to even, take that playoff run. So, this is a good team, great team, #1, but I don't see them really going nowhere. So if I'm a team, I'm looking to see them first round, so.
Okay, because you lost me there for a second. Because originally you said,
no.
oh, yeah, they're the hot team.
I mean,
Granted, they are a hot team, but they are a fraud because they are young and they don't have a lot of experience. I keep trying to explain to you guys, and you guys are great listeners when it comes to this. When we talk about playoffs, we talk about what experience. We talked about this in the first segment, right? With the Thunder, granted you have SGA. I think he possibly will be the MVP. If I had a vote, he'll be the MVP. But other than that, I don't know who you can trust. When the clock is down to 2 minutes in a conference finals game, experience matters. What are you going to do with the ball? How are you going to get a bucket when they are keying in on SGA?
Yeah.
Because they're so young, I'm looking at teams like, okay, I want them first round. Give me them because I'm not sure if Chet can hold down the fort when SGA possibly is struggling. You have Lou Dort and them, cool. They're
Jalen
great.
Williams,
Yeah, they're good for the regular season. But when it comes to the playoffs, you're able to key on the matchups. You have time to, break down film. It's a different story, so I'm not really sold on the Thunder right now. I'm sorry.
Definitely. I think we got to take a look back.
Okay.
And look back at where we were this time last year.
Okay, where were we? Talk to me. Give me some history.
Yeah, we were sitting in the kind of same situation that we're in right now.
Exactly.
You had a hot Thunders team.
Uh-huh.
They were one in the West.
You better preach the gospel.
Right under 60 wins.
Uh-huh.
And like I said, there was a lot of hype. There's a lot of people saying that could they really make a run? Could they be dominant? And for a first dominant year team, I think they did a good job. They got to the Western Conference semifinals, but they ended up getting bounced by older, more seasoned Dallas Mavericks team,
Right.
like I said, in the Western Conference semifinals. So because of that, like I said, I think you got to go back to that experience factor that plays definitely in these playoffs. It's different. It's not like March Madness. You play in one game, you got one opportunity, you can have a lot of things go on. But when you're playing a 7-game series, the true better team is going to come out and show. The reality of it is I think there's just too many contenders out West that you got to look at. You got Jokic and the Nuggets. You got Los Angeles Lakers, which personally I believe if LeBron James is on any team, you have to key in on him. You have to respect him that he can lead them to the NBA Finals because that's how dominant he is. I think you said the same thing about Golden State with Stephen Curry. These are guys that have such an impact on their team that regardless of what organization they're in, I think you have to respect them and say they can make the NBA Finals. So because of that, I think there's just too many people out West that can kind of make a jab at the Thunder. And the thing about it is SGA, great player. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets the MVP. I would give him the vote, but they can't get too one-dimensional. I know SGA can go out and put up 30. That's done deal. There's no issue with that. But like you were saying, like both of you were saying, when that adversity hits, who is going to step up? Who is going to hold down the fort? And I don't know if OKC can do that against some of these other teams out West, which is why I don't think they're the clear winner.
And it's funny because let's break down each team that could possibly beat the Thunder, right?
Yup.
So let's look at the Lakers first, right? LeBron James, Luka Doncic. Those two names scare me because they can both put up 40 any given night in a playoff series. And Mr. AR-15 and Austin Reeves, who's a great third option who can get you 20. That's one team. Let's talk about the Warriors. You have a coach in Steve Kerr who's been there before several times. You have a guy, the greatest shooter of all time, Stephen Curry. and you have a guy in Jimmy Butler, Jimmy Buckets in the playoff time. We understand what he can do. He can still guard. Granted, he's not the best defender like he used to be, but like he was in Chicago, but he still can hold his own, right?
Definitely.
And then you have a guy in Draymond Green who's a rough
Veteran.
rider. Veteran.
Experienced.
Who's a rough rider who
Literally.
can be physical with the Thunder and show them who's boss. The Nuggets, the last team I think that can beat the Thunder. You have a guy in Jokic, you have a guy in Jamal Murray who we forget about sometimes because he sometimes gets quiet, but in playoff situations, I feel like he'll show up. You have a guy in Westbrook who's been there before, who's also a triple-double machine. Those two teams can beat the Thunder easily in a series because of experience, toughness, and who they have.
And that was literally my last point. 2 out of the 3 of the teams you mentioned had great additions to their team.
Right.
Luka to the Lakers, Jimmy Butler, and when you talk about Luka, he was just there. This is a guy who paired up with LeBron James, as we spoke about. Any team he's on, he's going to find a way to make a playoff appearance and get it done. So when you look at them, you look at Stephen Curry. Stephen Curry is another Hall of Famer. This is a great, we literally watching history and the legacy right in front of our eyes. This is another guy with Jimmy Butler. This is a veteran guy, Draymond. So I don't see OKC getting over all of these teams. They don't have it.
I'm going to say this right now. This might be a hot take, but they will never get over the hump with the roster they have right now. I'm not, and why I say that, you need another star. Chet is good, but he's not a star yet. I feel like if you really want to win now, this is who you go after. Kevin Durant, Mr. 35, who used to play for y'all a couple years ago. You go for him. You trade some of these young assets. Granted, Lou Dort, Jalen Williams are good, but they're not going to get you over the hump. Like, I don't care. I care about the regular season, but I'd rather the Thunder be inconsistent in the regular season and then dominate in the playoffs. You got to bring somebody. You got to get rid of some of these young cats to get an older vet that knows what he's doing.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing. Like you were saying, it's not even so much of they need more star power, but you need that experience factor. People that have been in the situations. Like I said, the Lakers. I honestly think Lakers full healthy. I really want to see what they can do because Luka Doncic and LeBron James. I think when they are playing at their best, there's no 2-10. There's nobody in the league that I think is even going to get close. So that's why I say, yeah, if you're the Thunder, you got to look to get a guy that is not only going to give you production on the offensive end, but also a guy that's going to be willing to step up in those big situations and have that experience to get it done.
It's funny that you say that because, like you said again, I love the Thunder, but I just don't feel like they have enough. It's like something missing. Like it's something we can't pinpoint until it happens.
Yeah, definitely.
And we'll be able to see it in the playoffs because they possibly can go up against, the Warriors first round, and it's interesting that series could go to 7 because the Warriors know what they're doing. And another team, I think that's not really that bold is the Rockets. They're young as well. So I'm just not sold by the young teams this year. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Who do y'all think kind of favor? Like those are 2 young teams coming out the West, both of those top 2 seeds. Who do y'all like more, Houston or OKC?
OKC. Because they got a little more power. They aren't as young. So it's going to be really interesting to see this playoffs, and I'm excited.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, that's it for this episode of Saber Sports. Thank you for tuning in, and we hope to see you next week.